Very good evening, sir. Welcome. Directly
न्याय का सबके लिए उल्लास न्याय का सबके लिए विश्वास न्याय का सबके लिए अपने इस हिंदोस्ता पर हक हमारा भी तो है इंसाफ के आशिया पर हक हमारा भी तो है एक मुट्ठी आसमां पर हक हमारा भी तो है एक मुट्ठी आसमां पर हक हमारा भी तो
ये ना सोचो दर्द हमारा कहीं सुना न जाएगा, अब न्यायालय खुद चलकर चौपालों तक आएगा।
लाचारों को न्याय मिलेगा, दुखियारों को न्याय मिलेगा, कमजोरों को न्याय मिलेगा, मजलूमों को न्याय मिलेगा। अपने इस हिंदोस्ता पर हक हमारा भी तो है, उम्मीदों के इस गुलसिता पर हक हमारा भी तो है, एक मुट्ठी आसमां पर हक हमारा भी तो है, एक मुट्ठी आसमां पर हक हमारा भी तो है।
गरीब और कमजोरों को मुफ्त एवं सक्षम कानूनी सहायता के लिए प्रतिबद्ध विधिक सेवा प्राधिकरण नालसा, न्याय सबके लिए।
Very good evening, Honorable Chief Justice, former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice U. Lalit, Honorable the Chief Justice of the High Court of Bombay and Patron-in-Chief of the Goa Legal Services Authority, Honorable Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, Honorable Justice Mahesh Sonak, Senior Administrative Judge of the High Court of Bombay, Honorable Justice Bharat Deshpande, Judge, High Court of Bombay, Honorable Justice Valmiki Menezes, Judge, High Court of Bombay, Shri Zilman Koel Pereira, the President of the Goa High Court Bar Association, Shri Guru Prasad Pavaskar, the Honorable State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities. Our special guests and speakers for today's evening, Learned Advocate Shri Rahul Bajaj and Learned Advocate Amar Jain, the office bearers of the various advocate associations, respected senior advocates at the bar, the members of the bar, honorable district judges and judges of the civil and criminal courts in Goa, our invitees of the Purple Convention, the honorable registrars of the High Court and the District Court, our special friends and students of Astha Anand Niketan, media members and friends. The State Commission for Persons with Disabilities of the Government of Goa, in association with the Goa State Legal Services Authority, the Goa High Court Bar Association, and Mission Accessibility welcomes one and all and cordially invites you to this Purple Convention to go with the International Purple Fest, which is being organized in the state of Goa. I welcome you all. To begin with today's evening and keeping in theme with the Purple Convention, we have a welcome dance and song performed none other than by students of Astha Anand Niketan. Can I request the students please come forward and showcase their talent before this gathering. Friends, I think they deserve a much bigger round of applause. Thank you so much. That performance by them has already made my heart beat multiple times. The message there was really heart touching, and it really expounds the theme of this whole event to bring a smile on their face and to help them bring a smile on our face. Can I now request all the dignitaries seated to please come up to light the traditional lamp and mark the inauguration of this event. He is Mr. Sunil Sahasrabudhe. He is the sign interpreter. And that's Miss Kinjal. And Ms. Josna, they are also the interpreters for today's function. I'll request the dignitaries to briefly remain on the stage because there's a floral welcome and presentation of a memento. We have two special guests to present the mementos and a floral welcome to our dignitaries here. Can I request Mr. Krunal Thakur to please come up and present a floral welcome and a memento to our chief guest for today's function, Honorable Shri Justice U.U. Lalit, the former Chief Justice of India. I'll request Mr. Kunal to also present a floral welcome and memento to our Honorable Chief Justice, Shri Devendra Kumar Upadhyay. I will request him to also present a floral welcome and a memento to Honorable Sri Justice Mahesh Sona. I will now request Mr. Amit Birje. I request Mr. Amit Birje to kindly present a floral welcome and a memento to Honorable Justice Bharat Deshpande. Once again request Mr. Amit to present a floral welcome and memento to Honorable Justice Valmiki Menezes. I'll request the State Commissioner for Person with Disability, Shri Guru Prasad Pavaskar, to present a floral welcome and memento to the President of the Goa High Court Bar Association, Shri Coelho Pereira. Thank you, sir. I'll request the dignitaries to kindly take their seats so that we can proceed with the event. Okay. I just request the sir to please stay back for a minute. They would like to take a group photograph. Thank you, sir. Request you to please take your seats. The eminent personality that I would like to call upon to deliver the welcome address actually requires no introduction to this gathering, because he is a person who's come from this bar, from the state of Goa, the son of the soil, a very fluent orator himself, an astounding lawyer who's handled matters of divergent subjects, and is now an eminent jurist himself, a judge of this institution, who has rendered numerous judgments and has been delivering judgments to protect the interests of the state of Goa and preserve its sanctity. I request Honorable Justice M.S. Sona to please come forward and deliver his welcome address.
Honorable Justice Uday Lalit, former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, Chief Justice of our High Court, my brothers Justice Deshpande and Justice Valmiki Menezes, Mr. Kuel Pereira, the President of Goa High Court Bar Association, Mr. Guru Prasad Pavaskar, the State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, our guest speakers, Advocate Rahul Bajaj and Advocate Amar Jain, our wonderful friends who are present over here, and in fact, after their wonderful welcome dance, which was really divine, I think my giving the welcome address is quite superfluous, but please forgive me for continuing nevertheless. Members of the bar, members of the district judiciary, ladies and gentlemen, I have both the honor and the pleasure to welcome you all to this Advocates Conclave on Disability Rights. This conclave is a part of the International Purple Fest, which is currently being held in Goa. The Purple Fest, as you know, is a unique festival that celebrates persons with disabilities and invites people to a world of boundless possibilities. And this is a festival where unity takes the center stage and diversity is literally celebrated with open arms. Justice Lalit's being here is a great boost to this movement. Justice Lalit has demonstrated how much good and how much reforms can be packed in a tenure of 74 days as the Chief Justice of India if dedication, positive attitude and humility are your constant companions. Justice Lalit's exemplary experience of over 4 decades and his inherent goodness of the heart places him in a unique position to guide us and to motivate us. So we are extremely glad to welcome you, Justice Lalit. Thank you very much. Thank you. Chief Justice Upadhyay is amongst us today to signal his support to this movement. Chief Justice Upadhyay is not only the patron-in-chief of GSLSA, but he is a visionary with a zest to do good. He believes in leaving every place much better than what he finds it. And what is important is that he strives towards his belief to make every place and every institution better than what he found it. Therefore, Chief Justice Upadhyay's presence is motivating and inspiring. We are blessed with your presence today, Chief. Thank you very much, Chief. I am also extremely happy to welcome Advocate Rahul Bajaj and Advocate Amar Jain. They have done a lot for this movement. Their experiences are most valuable because they have walked this path. They would be best equipped to convince the world that the problem is not with having any disabilities, but the problem is with the barriers that we unwittingly or sometimes wittingly create. These barriers are not only physical, but they are attitudinal. The problem is with accessibility and lack of sufficient inclusivity. The ball, dear friends, is really in our court. Thank you very much, Rahul and Amar, for being here. Friends, I thank you very much for gathering here in such large numbers. I am genuinely sorry for the space constraints, but I am confident that each of you will spread the message far beyond the confines, so that these narrow walls are not seen as insurmountable barriers. Thank you very much and a hearty welcome to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your opening remarks. Our first speaker for today's evening is Advocate Rahul Bajaj, and I had asked for a brief CV from Mr. Bajaj, but from what he has sent me, his achievements are endless, and I don't think time would be sufficient to describe his achievements. But friends, to understand what Mr. Bajaj is going to present before us, we need to first understand what is this whole Purple Convention? What is the concept of this International Purple Fest? Well, this is a concept which is not known to many of us. Therefore, it would be apt in the fitness of order that I call upon the Commissioner of the Disabilities Department in the state of Goa, Shri Guru Prasad Pavaskar, to give us a brief insight into what is this International Purple Fest and what is the whole purpose of this Purple Convention. Can I request Shri Guru Prasad to please come?
Savyam Namaskar, good evening. Honorable Justice U. Lalit, former Chief Justice of India. Honorable Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, Chief Justice High Court of Bombay and Patron-in-Chief Goa State Legal Services Authority. Honorable Shri Justice M.S. Sonak, Senior Judge High Court of Bombay at Goa and Executive Chairman Goa State Legal Services Authority. Honorable Justice Shri Deshpande, Honorable Justice Shri Valmiki Meneses, Shri Koilo Pereira, Senior Advocate and President of Goa High Court Bar Associations, all those who have gathered here today, senior advocates, my friends, students who are also part of today's conference, and my special friends who are here, Rahul and Amar, and Honorable MLA of Aldana Constituency, Shri Carlos. As we have this convention today, when I floated this idea to Honorable Justice Shri Mahesh Sonak, because I saw him for the last Purple Fest and he spent almost 2 to 3 hours visiting each and every stall, trying to understand what different things are happening in the field of disability. And when we started planning for this year's International Purple Fest, I again approached him and asked him what can we do especially for the advocates from Goa. And then we thought of having this conference on disability for advocates. And I'm very happy that ex-CJI Justice U. Lalit is here amongst us today, and also Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay. Justice Lalit was part of the State Commissioners Conference which started today morning. The entire half day he was amongst all of us and spent valuable time giving suggestions and experiences, also experiencing various things that were presented today. Both these conferences, the All India State Commissioners Conference as well as this Advocates Conference, is entirely curated by Advocate Rahul Bajaj and Advocate Amar Jain. I know both of them for quite some time now, and I keep on calling them for various advices, suggestions, and they are so quick in telling me what has to be done for the persons with disabilities. The RPWD Act has come in force since 1995, and again the new Act has come in 2016. Many of us are not aware of various rights for persons with disabilities. There are 21 types of disabilities as per the new Act. Normally people generally feel that there are only disability, those who are blind or those who are hearing impaired fall under the category of disability. But there are many other disabilities, like leprosy cured patient falls under the category of persons with disabilities. Acid attack victim fall under the category of persons with disabilities. And there are so many. Learning disability falls under the category of persons with disabilities. And we thought that we should have this awareness for all of us, including me, so that we are updated with the latest what is happening in the field of disability. As we are having this conclave today, we have parallel 31 conventions going on across the state. Tomorrow we have a convention on hemophilia. Yesterday we had it on invisible disabilities, and so on and so forth. So why are we doing this International Purple Fest? Last year we did Purple Fest. We got a lot of NGOs on the same platform, and we thought we should also know what is happening at the international level. This time we have more than 15 countries which are participating. Many events are planned, many games are being organized, right from wheelchair cricket to international blind chess tournament, para badminton. As I speak now, there are 2,000 para athletes which are participating in national para athletics competition at Bambolim. We have got a huge response for International Purple Fest. More than 10,000 delegates have come to Goa, they have registered or they are participating in various events. I would request those who are present here today, you should visit Purple Fest, at least spend some time with them. Come and see what the things are happening, what are the latest technology that is available in the field of disability. It's not an event, Purple Fest is not an event. We say it is a movement which has to spread across the country and it has to cross the borders as well. And I'm very happy when we started this festival last year. Other states are now gearing up to have these festivals in their own states. Jammu had this festival last month, and I think MP is also planning to have a similar festival. It is about changing the mindset, it is about creating the sensitization, it is not only about physical infrastructure. We can see a ramp here where Kunal could easily come. But this kind of infrastructure needs to be there everywhere. It can't be only at one particular thing. We have started building ramps across Panjim. But the problem is, the non-disabled have to be sensitized first towards visibility. When we build a ramp, when we create an access, we find some people will park their bikes and block the access. We cannot keep on, putting fine or telling them not to do it. It has to come within. And it will take time. We are trying our best by creating this awareness. And Purple Fest is a platform for this awareness. Almost every day we have 3,000 students. We show them various movies on disabilities. Small documentaries are shown right from 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. So that the children who are there in the schools can look at persons with disabilities with a different attitude. It is not about doing charity, it is not about helping them, it is their right. We are talking about rights of persons with disabilities. And the RPWD Act 2016 has given a lot of powers to the state commissioners as well. But sometimes I feel it is a toothless tiger. Having said that, we are trying our best to ensure that the rules and laws are followed. We get so many grievances with regards to promotions for persons with disabilities, reservation which is there for 4% for persons with disabilities, which is not followed in various government departments. It is, but at the same time, we also see that government is very keen, very forward, because festival of this magnitude cannot be organized without the help of the state government. And very happy to see that today morning we inaugurated the first spinal cord rehab center. And this is what Goa is getting out of this Purple Fest. Persons with spinal cord injury had to travel to various other states for treatment and spend lakhs of rupees. But this facility is now available in Goa free of cost in Bambolim at Rugnashray. We also started with an artificial limbs manufacturing unit today morning, where prosthetic and orthotic limbs are manufactured, aids and appliances will be manufactured locally and given to the deserving free of cost. So a lot of things are happening. I can go on and on, but we have our guests with us. I will not take much time, but I'm sure today's conference and with Rahul and Amar who are going to be here with us, I would request the audience to ask them questions. Both of them are absolutely fantastic. As I said, I've been interacting with them for quite some time now. And they're they're perfect to a point. I mean, they'll give you the right answer. It is not about, if you ask me a question, I'll think 10 times what to answer. But with Rahul and Amar, I have seen they are instant and they know what they are saying. That is what I like about Rahul and Amar. I will not take much time. I place on record my sincere gratitude for giving us this opportunity to have this advocates conference at this place, and I'm thankful to Justice Sonal for taking the initiative in this whole thing, and I'm glad that all of you have come here today. Thank you.
Thank you, Guru. Well, Guru just told us what the state of Goa is getting out of this festival. Let me also tell you that Guru, in his capacity as the commissioner, has also given a lot to the state and to all these friends of ours who are covered by this act. And it is indeed an honor and I feel privileged to inform this gathering that recently Mr. Guru Prasad Pavaskar was presented the award for the best commissioner at the national level. Our first speaker for today's evening is Mr. Rahul Bajaj, who is an advocate by profession. His educational qualifications include a BA LLB degree from the Ambedkar College of Law, University of Nagpur, training on human rights advocacy on death penalty and remote warfare from the Reprieve Bonavero Summer Fellowship, University of Oxford, Bachelor of Civil Law from the Faculty of Law, Linacre College, University of Oxford, MPhil in Law, Faculty of Law, Linacre College, University of Oxford. Part of his achievements includes his inclusiveness in the Rhodes Trust, the National Law School of India University, Nalsar University of Law, Hyderabad, National Law University, Delhi, Member Accessibility Committee, Delhi High Court, Subcommittee Member of Physical and Functional Accessibility, Supreme Court of India. And in this varied positions that he has occupied, he has assisted in designing questionnaires for stakeholders, he's participated in multiple rounds of consultations, he's assisted in making the High Court websites more disabled friendly. He has conceptualized and taught course on private law and fundamental rights to a number of students. He's founded and ran the Rhodes Disability Project, an initiative aimed at fostering dialogue on the lived experiences of Rhodes scholars with disabilities. He's taught intellectual property to a number of students. And the list goes on, but the most standout performance, I would say, he was instrumental in delivery of the first judgment by the Honorable Apex Court under the Act of 2016. We have a very dynamic personality before us, and to tell us on the Disabilities Act, its nuances and what we need to know, I call upon our first speaker, Mr. Rahul Bajaj.
Thanks very much, Mr. Moderator, for that very kind introduction. Honorable former the 49th Chief Justice of India, Justice U.U. Lalit, Justice Sonak, Justice Upadhyay, all the honorable judges of the Bombay High Court, Goa bench or otherwise, and other dignitaries on and off the dais. It's a great honor to be here and I'm very grateful for the opportunity. I'd like to start off by sharing 3 stories which I hope will underscore some of the points that I would like to make today. Nikhil is an 18-year-old student who has cleared the IIT JEE examination and been placed at IIT Bombay. He has a locomotor disability and is on a wheelchair. Now he joins the IIT, and let's not say IIT Bombay in particular, any IIT for that matter, but finds that there's no ramp there. He has to be, his wheelchair has to be lifted and he has to be taken to the 2nd floor of the complex where his classes take place. And he feels that this is indignifying and often it breeds a sense of isolation and segregation that he feels. Second story, Arun is someone who 3 months ago met with an accident which left him with a hearing impairment. He is a movie buff and likes to watch all movies first day, first show. After he became hearing impaired, he finds that he is unable to follow movies like he could before because they do not come with subtitles and captions, which persons with hearing impairments need to be able to follow the oral aspects of a movie, which they are not able to hear because of their hearing impairment, and thereby remains shut out from the movie watching experience, which obviously is not just entertainment for entertainment's sake, but also has several second order benefits in terms of the educative value that entertainment content has. Third example, Lisa is a lawyer who is well educated. She has studied at the best institutions in India and abroad and pursued law and graduated top of her class. Now she comes and joins a commercial law firm in Delhi and finds that she is not able to work effectively. Why? Because when her seniors ask her to pull out particular judgments, the database that she needs to use to access those judgments is not accessible to her as a blind person with the talking software that she uses, which is called a screen reader. Therefore, she is unable to do it independently and needs someone's help. She finds that a number of files that she has to access are not in accessible format. They are image-based PDFs, which screen readers do not interact well with. She finds that there are thousands and thousands of pages of files which she is not able to track down. And despite her talent, she is unable to contribute effectively. And when she asks for special assistance in the form of hiring a junior who can assist her with her needs, a law firm says, sorry, we can't do it. It would be like hiring two people for the task of one, and we can't afford it. Too bad. Now, and when it comes to conferences, hearings, because of her disability, she is unable to participate effectively. She finds that senior lawyers are in a hurry. They don't have the time for her to locate the material that she needs to access. In court, she is unable to immediately locate the material because she needs more time, but she is not comfortable asking for it. There is no mechanism that she can use to ask for it, and thereby she ends up not getting the accommodation that she needs. Now, in all these three stories, what is common is that these are the stories of a segment of our society, persons with disabilities, whose interface with barriers is what characterizes their lives. Physical infrastructure, physical, societal, attitudinal, etc. And therefore prevents them from realizing their full potential and contributing as full and equal members of society, whether it be as family members, persons in the workforce, consumers, of business products and services and so forth. Now, that is the lived reality that many persons with disabilities confront today. We all know that, well, some of us know that we have extremely strong laws on the books now with the enactment of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. However, there is a massive gap when it comes to the implementation of the law, or as the Supreme Court put it in Vikash Kumar versus UPSC and others, the gap between principle and practice. Now, it is this gap that I am hoping I will be able to enlist your support, each of the 250 odd people who are here, in addressing. And how can we do so? And I would like to outline 8 specific ways that we can do so, which I will take you through. The first is having a system in place to address the needs of persons with disabilities. So, within the Supreme Court, now there is an accessibility committee that was set up. Honorable Moderator mentioned that I was a part of the subcommittees which were set up as part of that. Delhi High Court has also set up such a committee, and Amar and I are both parts of it. But what we need to do is to get to a point where high courts across the country have such accessibility committees. I hope the Honorable Bombay High Court already has such an accessibility committee in place. If not, my honest request would be to institute that, so that complaints that persons with disabilities have can be tackled on an ongoing basis as and when they arise. Because once you have an institutional process in place, specific issues can be dealt with as and when they arise. That's point number one. The second thing I would like to emphasize is the effective functioning of special courts. Now, Section 84 of the RPWD Act says that each state government, in consultation with the Chief Justice of the High Court, is to set up a special court for speedy trial of offences. We find that even though special courts have been designated, they are not actually functional, in the sense that when cases are sent to them, they are not taken up, in fact. And in this regard, if this Honourable High Court could take the lead in ensuring that such cases are taken up in an effective way, in the sense that, awareness is spread about this obligation and that the formal notification is implemented in practice, that would go a long way, in my opinion. Third, high quality legal aid for persons with disabilities. Many lawyers who are successful legal practitioners, of course, many of us practice law as a noble profession, but you need money to make ends meet. Now, disability rights legal advocacy, unfortunately, does not pay that well, because there is a strong linkage between disability and poverty in our country, which is what makes such advocacy difficult for people to pursue in a meaningful fashion, right? But howsoever well-intentioned you may be or good you may want to do, ultimately one has to make ends meet. So what kind of systems can we devise that make it possible for persons with disabilities to get the kind of legal aid that they need with dignity, and for lawyers to take their cases seriously? Many people come to me and say, sir, we had a case, our legal aid lawyer is not taking it seriously, he knows he's not going to get much money out of it, and we can't judge that lawyer also, because ultimately they also need to make ends meet. So up to a point, yes, we should say that, okay, if you're taking up a case, you must take it seriously. But at the same time, can we find ways of creating a fund, for instance, through which such kinds of cases can be taken up in a meaningful way? That's the third thing. The fourth is accessible court documents. So you'll remember Lisa's example which I gave you. So can we have a system in place whereby persons with disabilities can demand access, request access to accessible court documents which work with their software? And Honorable former CJI will attest to this, that if some intervention is undertaken, because when I had worked for him, he had batted for that, and as also Dr. Justice Chandrachud, who is the current CJI, for whom also I clerked in the 2020-21 court year. Both of them made sure that I had access to court documents in accessible formats. But they are extremely, empathetic people who sort of wanted to go the extra mile. Not everyone necessarily will be, which is why we need institutional solutions for this issue. So that's my fourth suggestion, that we have a practice direction to ensure that accessible court documents are provided to persons with disabilities as and when they need it, as also reasonable accommodation. Assume I am a hearing impaired lawyer, I need a sign language interpreter in a hearing. That if I can just make an application, see what happens is, and I have been told this, otherwise if you go to a court and ask in a hearing that please, Honorable Judge, please give me time, I can't locate it, I am blind. They say, oh, the judge will just grant an adjournment and the matter will get pushed by 3 months. But that doesn't mean that I can just neglect my need. I mean, if I need time, I need time. We have to make sure that in such cases a short adjournment is granted, just of a day, so that that perception is not there in the minds of clients or seniors that, okay, if this person asks for an accommodation, the client will suffer, so why ask for it at all? The next thing is, the fifth point is sign language interpretation, at least for some hearings, right? And we saw this taking place in Supreme Court in the case of Sara Sani, where she was able to access it. But at least in some cases to begin with, can we have, like we have interpreters here today, Mr. Sahastra Budre, I'm getting his name wrong perhaps, but he's there, Sunil ji, and can we have a system whereby for some hearings at least we can have that? Then the sixth point is culture of compliance. Now you see, the first thing that many corporates say, and I have been told this on my face when I have advised corporates, what is the penalty that will come if we don't comply with the law? Howsoever well intentioned, we may say all the right thing, that is how some businesses think. So can we ensure that these provisions don't remain on paper, and for them not to be a toothless tiger, we will need a culture of compliance, which unfortunately sometimes only comes through the imposition of penalties. In the Jija Ghosh case, the Supreme Court imposed a penalty of 10 lakh rupees on SpiceJet, which had discriminated against a woman with cerebral palsy and demoted her, thereby violating her dignity. So those are the kinds of precedents that we need in cases where the violation of the rights of the disabled is made out. Seventh point is having accessibility be a line item, in all new offerings that the court launches, whether it be physical or digital. Can we do this? Making sure that we check everything for accessibility before it is launched. Right nowadays, like you have a EIA, environmental impact assessment. Can we have the same for disability? Thereby making sure that we don't have to firefight later and have accessibility from the get-go. So, and yes, and then last and eighth, can we think of starting a lecture series whereby, once a year we get experts in the subject or judges to come and talk about disability rights law and sort of latest issues within the space. And if a high court as significant in our country's judicial landscape as the Bombay High Court were to do it, it would send a very powerful signal across the system. So these are my 8 suggestions for your respectful consideration. I thought I would pack as much into this as possible because not every day does one get a chance to address such an august gathering, and I didn't want to just say things that we all know anyway. I hope this will give you some food for thought, and thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you, Rahulji. Our next speaker for today's evening is learned advocate Amar Jain. Mr. Jain is a corporate lawyer. As part of his professional engagement, he has worked in the areas of contract management, Indian and international capital markets, banking and finance, foreign currency, external commercial borrowings. Amar has worked with firms Trilegal and Cyril Amarchand Mangaldas and Accenture India. Amar is also a certified professional in web accessibility. He has trained about 219 people worldwide. He's been a part of certification programs which helps Amar to provide consultancy and training on making website and apps accessible for everyone, including persons with disabilities. Amar has blindness as defined under the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. He is a recipient of NCPEDP Emphasis Javed Abidi Public Policy Award by National Center for Promotion of Employment of People with Disabilities and Emphasis Limited for his work in the area of public policy. Sarojini Triloknath National Award for Best Role Model by National Association for the Blind. Delhi and Encore Award by Accenture India Corporate Functions for leading. It's all in his DNA. As part of his legal services, Amar is working for empowerment of persons with disabilities, and he has various aims, objectivities, and part of his sensitization program includes sessions for academic institutions, corporates, government entities, amongst others, and he has worked with a various number of institutions like Lal Bahadur Shastri Academy, Gujarat National Law University, NLU Bangalore, Kalinga Institute, Bhubaneswar, and the list goes on. Friends, our next speaker, learned advocate Amar Jain.
Former Chief Justice of India, Honorable Justice E.V. Lalit, Chief Justice, Bombay High Court, the other judges, senior judges of the Bombay High Court, Goa bench and otherwise, the Goa State Bar Association president, and all other members from the bar, friends from media, and other respected dignitaries. I'll touch upon three things, and let's go one by one. In the introduction, it is written about me that I have blindness as defined under Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act. And let's start from there. बेचारा अंधा क्या करेगा? The typical notion that we have about a person with a disability. If we look at the terminology, it is person with a disability. But in the general mindsets, the disability comes first and the person comes later. Why did I make that statement? I was born and brought up, actually born in MP, was brought up in Jodhpur, Rajasthan. And that's the typical mindset that I had to battle with. That what could you do as a blind person? At best, you could be a teacher or you could be a singer. And then people were saying, okay, now banking is also opening up, so maybe you can just be a banker. Because these are the things that people would have seen. When we talked about persons with this International Purple Fest or Purple Fest, the idea is not really to say that despite disability, people can do so much things or so many things. The point is, we are also people first, persons first, who want to do n number of things. We want to shop, we want to go out, we want to enjoy the rights as anybody else would do in our age and generation. Everything that the people sitting here would want to do, so do we want to do. But for that to happen, what is important? First is that we recognize the importance of rights of persons with disabilities. The Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act, which came into 2016, has granted a number of rights, including right of non-discrimination on the ground of disability, right of equal opportunity in employment, obligation for government and private service providers to make their services accessible, and the list can go on. Right of financial independence, right of owning mobile and immobile property, right? There are right of community living, right to have a family. I seriously wonder, why did we come to a point where we had to list down these rights as part of a statute? These are common rights that each one of us has. But just because we have a disability, does that mean that we should be denied these rights? If the answer is a no, then we need to think that what is it that we can do to make sure that the system is able to provide the rights that people with disabilities deserve. And let's take this from here. If a person with speech and hearing impairment goes to a police station to file FIR, and he or she is not able to effectively communicate because there is no sign language interpreter available who's professional, and we are able to make sure that the person with speech and hearing impairment, whatever he or she is trying to communicate, is actually interpreted the right way by the interpreters, and there is no loss of content or loss of actual facts when the FIR is being registered. And I'm talking of cases like rape, right? If we want to come to court, then do we have the registry, the filing procedures, the website, the platforms used for conducting virtual hearings, or the court processes, accessibility embedded in it? If we go to a lawyer that our case should be taken up for further proceedings, does the lawyer know about rights of persons with disabilities, or the lawyer is also coming with the same mindset that okay, I need to do good for the society, hence I need to provide my services to this person with a disability. The Chief Commissioner and the State Commissioners are quite empowered bodies in the law. They are not toothless tigers. They have powers to enforce penalty for violation of the Act. They have powers for enforcing and summoning people for attendance, for documents, for information, and many other powers to enforce the rights of persons with disabilities. So what is it that we as the court system, the members from the bar, can really do about it? First, awareness. Awareness of rights of persons with disabilities, looking at people with disabilities as equal citizens, as equal components, and as equal participating actors of the society. Can we use our judicial legal academies, district judicial legal academy, to conduct sensitization sessions for judges, for court staff, for lawyers, and for people with disabilities, and otherwise? That's first action. Second, in the court system, I'm assuming what Rahul said is done. Let's take it that way, that accessibility committee is created. Can we take a next step? Let us identify a common framework which embeds accessibility by design and create one model district court, at least one model district court, to showcase that creation of an accessible judicial mechanism is doable if there is will and intent. I am sure with the judges sitting here and with the members from the bar sitting here, I am sure we can do that. Third, can we make sure that the laws, the legal material, the databases, etc. are made accessible for persons with disabilities too, so that we can also be part of the same profession and we can also perform at par with others. That's the third thing. Right? Fourth, can we look at laws and language? I'm cognizant of the fact that Supreme Court has also initiated this process where we start using disability inclusive language. When we talk of persons with disabilities, we often sometimes intentionally, unintentionally, we end up saying, "Bichare ki madad kar do." Right? Or, yeah, these people, we should be a little sympathetic to such people. Can we stop using such language and can we start using dignified language? So that people with disabilities also feel empowered, and we, when we look at people with disabilities, also look at it with the dignity and respect that they deserve. I think the law is very clear, the mandates are very clear. There is a gap in the implementation, and I think we as actors in this system, be it lawyers, be it judges, be it court staff or otherwise, even media, portrayal of disability in media. You had a movie called Aankh Mein Choli, which had made fun of disability and got notices issued by Goa State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, and many other people took action against it. Or when we do journalism around disability, are we using disability inclusive language? I think the whole narrative needs to shift from disability first to person first approach. And it's really, if you do an homework today at home, if you total the word attitude, ATTITUDE, if you just total it, there are 26 alphabets in English language, and if you just look at where is each alphabet placed, so say let's A is number 1, T possibly is 19 or whatever the number is. If you total this, you will get to 100. But if you try this with any other word, knowledge, hard work, success, whatever the common parameters we think that are important in our life, you are not going to get at 100. It will either exceed 100 or it will be below 100. What gets us to 100 is attitude. So, taking all proactive measures to have that right attitude for people with disabilities and looking at each touch point of our justice delivery system, be it courts, be it registry, be it the members from the bar. When we as lawyers send legal notices or any material that we file in the court, are we filing it in a way, or are we sending it in a way where if the other person happens to be a person with disability is able to access? Now then the question comes that for a little population of, by the way, the World Health Organization thinks that it's 1.3 billion of the world, or 16% of the world, which is persons with disability. For this population, the amount of effort, do we need to do too much? Do we need to put too much of effort? Let me give you just few examples and end it there to leave you with this thought. I as blind person and Rahul as blind person or Turab as blind person, all my colleagues, co-founders of Mission Accessibility, we can't see photographs. So when you upload a picture of this event today or anything on your social media platform or or when a digital copy of this news articles or press clippings is published, all we ask you to just give one-line description of the image. That image could possibly be that all the senior most judges are standing on the dais and lighting the lamp. Just one-line description below the photograph. I'm not getting into technicality of how this can be done, but the idea is just by giving that one-liner description, you made an entire world of picture accessible to people who are blind. Honestly ask yourselves, was that too much of effort? Can I hear yes or no? Right. I think that's really what we need to think about. Accessibility is all about the ability to be able to access without adaptation or without modifications. Depending on your ability, you can access things as they are if they are designed keeping accessibility in mind. And I think it starts with attitude and goes on to every other angle of our life. I didn't want to give you a legal speech or what could courts do, what could judiciary do, or what could bar do, or etc. Rahul has summed that very well. I just wanted to leave you with this thought that look at us as persons first and then identify what does it take. See, the fact that our disabilities can't be cured, be it naturally, supernaturally or otherwise, is a fact. But what can we do? What measures can we take which can help us bridge that gap of absence of that particular functionality? If we can't see, then what is it that we can do to bridge that gap of eyesight not being there? I think that's the thought we need to, I want to leave you with. Thank you so much for this opportunity, and thank you for such a amazing.
Thank you, Amar. It is my honor and privilege to introduce our next speaker for this evening. His Lordships was born on 16th of June 1965 at Muskarai district, Ambedkar Nagar, Uttar Pradesh. He had his college education in Colvin Talukas College, Lucknow, graduated in laws in the year 1991 from Lucknow University, enrolled as an advocate on 11th May 91 and joined the chambers of his esteemed father, Sri R.A. Upadhyay, practicing at the Board of Revenue for more than 60 years. Then he later joined Sri Mohammad Arif Khan, senior advocate, and Sri S.K. Kalia, again another senior advocate, practiced on civil and constitutional law at the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad at Lucknow. He was appointed as the Chief Standing Counsel, State of UP in May 2007 and continued to hold that office till his elevation as a judge of the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad. He was appointed as the Queenie Judge of the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad on 21st November 2011 and took oath as the permanent judge of the High Court of Judicature at Allahabad on 6th August 2013. Became senior judge of the Lucknow bench on 28 March 2023 and appointed and took oath as the Chief Justice of the High Court of Bombay on 29 July 2023. Amidst us, the Chief Justice of the High Court of Bombay, Shri Devendra Kumar Upadhyay. Sir.
A very good evening and namaskar to all present here. Honorable Shri Justice Uday Lalit, former Chief Justice of India, my esteemed brother Justices Mahesh Sonak, Bharat Deshpande and Shri Valmiki, Mr. Pavaskar, State Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, Srimati Vijaya Amre, Member Secretary, Goa State Legal Services Authority, Shri Pereira, President, Goa High Court Bar Association, our very special guests today, Mr. Rahul Bajaj and Mr. Amar Jain, advocates, senior advocates, other advocates, members of Goa High Court Bar Association, members of Mission Accessibility, members of Registry, ladies and gentlemen. At the very outset, I must applaud and congratulate wholeheartedly the organizers of this International Purple Fest, which is an initiative by the Office of the State Commissioner for Disabilities for showcasing and celebrating diversity and inclusion of persons with disabilities. I am happy that this Advocates Conclave on disability rights as a part of Purple Fest is being organized in association with Goa State Legal Services Authority, Goa High Court Bar Association and the NGO Mission Accessibility for spreading awareness in the society about persons with disabilities and their empowerment. You know, every individual is bestowed with some skill and talent, and disabled people are no different. People may be disabled mentally or physically, but that should not deprive them of equal treatment, protection and opportunities. It is the utmost obligation of the state and its citizens in realizing that persons with disabilities are accepted, respected, encouraged and empowered at all levels. What is thus required is inclusiveness, providing opportunities to showcase their talent and skills and to unite the diverse perspectives for the overall growth of a society. I am pleased that the ongoing Purple Fest 2024 is such a platform meant exclusively for the welfare and upliftment of persons with disabilities. Persons with disabilities, whom I call differently abled persons, face many challenges in their day-to-day activities which impact their lives at different levels, ranging from education and employment to transportation and accessibility. There are several hurdles that they pass through, resulting in their exclusion from the mainstream and thereby leading to injustice and sheer inconvenience to them. It is the constitutional mandate of the state to provide for a barrier-free environment for the disabled, and failure to do so would be a violation of basic human rights. There cannot be any reason or excuse in not providing for such barrier-free environment. All disabled individuals have equal rights of being recognized and protected for their upliftment and empowerment. The legal scenario would indicate that there are sufficient mechanisms of laws and guidelines relating to welfare and empowerment of the persons with disabilities, but lack of effective lack of effective implementation and awareness has been a major challenge, and this is the area that needs to be re-looked positively. One of such measures for empowerment by our central legislature is enactment of Rights of Persons with Disabilities Act 2016. This act defines persons with disability to mean a person with long-term physical, mental, intellectual or sensory impairment which in interaction with barriers hinders his full and effective participation in society equally with others. The principles stated to be implemented for empowerment of persons with disabilities are respect for inherent dignity, individual autonomy, including the freedom to make one's own choices, and independence of persons. Various crucial aspects have been stressed upon, such as non-discrimination, full and effective participation and inclusion in society, respect for difference and acceptance of disabilities as part of human diversity and humanity, equality of opportunity, accessibility, equality between men and women, respect for the evolving capacities of children with disabilities, and respect for the right of children with disabilities to preserve their identities. These principles reflect a paradigm shift in the thinking about disability from a social welfare concern to a human rights issue. Similarly, there are many other rights incorporated under the Act which need to be taken care of. Besides the Act of 2016, there are many other guidelines for empowerment of persons with disabilities. However, as we keep noticing, there is a lack of implementation of these laws and guidelines effectively. Our courts have also stepped in on several occasions by judicial intervention, including reservation in education and employment, prohibiting discriminations, provisions for healthcare, social security, and so on. Thus, from the legal perspective, the community of lawyers, jurists, and judges have a huge role in uplifting and empowering the persons with disabilities. It needs to be ensured that the persons with disabilities enjoy equal and effective legal protection, passionate guidance, and are made aware of their rights in availing opportunities for their well-being. Apart from what I have written today for my speech to address to all present here, I would just narrate one case which I had dealt with while as a judge of the Allahabad High Court at Lucknow. And the story, which is a real one, will tell us, rather tell us more effectively what our guest speakers today told about the inclusiveness and the lack of accessibility to the persons with disabilities. Now, I was trying a writ petition filed by the District Legal Services Authority, where a challenge was made to an order passed with the district judge, denying its permission or leave under the Hindu Adoption Act for permitting adoption of an orphan. The district judge held that under the JJ Act, adoption can't be permitted because the cumulative age of the parents, prospective parents, adoptive parents, is exceeding 90 years, therefore this adoption can't be permitted under the JJ Act. And the situation of that child to be given in adoption was such that it was difficult for the district judge to hold that the child was a Hindu. What happened? A deaf and dumb lady, it's a very touching story. A deaf and dumb lady who was mentally retarded was a victim of rape. He, in the pregnancy, was found roaming around in the roads, on the roads of Allahabad. So the authorities of the district administration persuaded her somehow, took her to the protection home for women. But she was pregnant out of that incident of rape. She was to deliver a child. She was deaf and dumb and mentally retarded at the same time. She was brought to Lucknow, admitted in medical college. She delivered a child. But because she just could not understand what all was going with her, she never liked her child, and she, whenever the child was with her, she started beating the child. So the matter was taken up by the superintendent of the Women Protection Home with the District Legal Services Authority, who put up an advertisement for giving that child in adoption. One couple in Lucknow came forward, but then under the Hindu Adoption Act, if the child's, both the parents are not giving their consent, then adoption can be permitted only with the leave of the court. But that leave was denied on the grounds, as I told you. That order was under challenge. What I did was that even it was very difficult even for me to determine as to whether the child, the mother, they were Hindu or they belonged to some other religion. Under JJ Act, adoption was not possible because, as I told you, the cumulative age of the parents was exceeding 90 years. That was the limit, perhaps that is the limit presently also. So what I did was, in Lucknow, we have a university for disabled. We requested the head of the department or dean there in the university to provide help of a sign language interpreter. Passed an order, requested that sign language interpreter to interact with the lady to ascertain as to which religion does she belong to. If she was a Hindu, it was easier for me to give that child in adoption. That sign language interpreter interacted with that lady, and with some difficulty, he could ascertain that the lady was a Hindu lady, and that is how, taking aid of that sign language interpreter, I relied on that report and held that the child was Hindu. But then just see the situation. Who is the father is not known. Mother is Hindu, child is Hindu, but for adoption, it can't be said that the child was an orphan. Because mother was already there. So I had to do a lot of thinking, and then I somehow concluded that no. In a situation where father of the child is not known, mother is Hindu, we can safely hold that the child is an abundant child, where the mother herself does not know as to who the child is. She is unable to understand the whole situation. Therefore, I held that the child is an abundant child. Therefore, there is no need of any consent of the parents, and that's how the adoption could be possible. What I wanted to tell you is that see the difficult situation of this most difficult moment of this case was when I could not think as to how to ascertain. So this kind of awareness for providing accessibility to the differently abled persons needs to be spread, as very rightly told by our two guest speakers today. Courts needs to be sensitive about these matters, and I welcome the suggestion given by Mr. Jan that our these academies, judicial academies, should have such sensitization programs to sensitize the judges, and I would request the Member Secretary, Goa State Legal Services Authority, to take up such issues at the level of the authority and also at the level of the court, as also at the level of the judicial academies. Another aspect which I would like to speak today and emphasize today, taking the cue from the speakers, can we just stop using the expression persons with disability? We can, one alternative and better expression is differently abled persons. Why can't we just stop using this expression at all? It is the same person affected with same kind of disability, but if you call him person with a differently abled person, perhaps it will be more dignified an expression. In Hindi, we have a very beautiful word to describe such people, and this is in use now. We call them Divyangjan. Divya means divine, and Ang means the limb, persons with divine limbs. Earlier, the word was Vikalang, persons with Vikalang. Vikal means taste. So this kind of exercise by the linguists, by all others, should be undertaken so that we can find better and more dignified expressions to address the persons with disabilities. And in fact, everyone must have noticed in his day-to-day experience in life that the so-called disabled persons, for any reason whatsoever, natural, supernatural or whatever, if they have some kind of deficiency in the worldly sense, the other sense is more strong than the sense which is possessed by a common person. So they in fact are persons with ability, of course a different kind of ability. This will be my request, my suggestion to all present here, and I would request the Disability Commissioner present here to take up this issue with the universities in the departments of linguistics so that we can find some better expressions. I would conclude by wishing the organizers of the International Purple Fest and all concerned a very grand success of the fest and its endeavors in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir, for your address. To introduce our keynote speaker for today's evening, Honorable Shri Justice U.U. Lalit. Justice Lalit enrolled with the Bar Council of Maharashtra and Goa as an advocate in June 1983. He started his practice with Advocate M.A. Rani, who was considered a proponent of radical humanist school of thought and believed that social work is an important building in solid legal practice. He shifted his practice to Delhi in 1985 and joined the chamber of senior advocate Praveen H. Parekh. From 86 to 92, Sri Lalit worked with former Attorney General of India, Soli Sorabji, In 92, Justice Lalit qualified and was registered as an advocate on record at the Supreme Court. In 2004, was designated as a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. In 2011, the Supreme Court bench of Justice Singhvi and Justice Ganguly appointed Shri Lalit as the special public prosecutor for CBI in the 2G spectrum cases. His professional strengths are described as thoroughness with the case, patience in explaining legal questions, sober demeanor in presenting the case before the bench. Then comes his turn as a Supreme Court judge. In 2014, the Collegium headed by the Chief Justice of India, Shri R.M. Lodha, recommended his elevation to the Supreme Court as a judge and was appointed as a judge of the Supreme Court on 13th August 2014 and became only the 6th lawyer to be directly elevated to the Supreme Court. He was part of the 5-judge bench in the Triple Talaq case. Then came his tenure as the Chief Justice of India. On 10th August 2022, the President appointed him the 49th Chief Justice of India. Justice Lalit's tenure, despite being short, had brought major administrative changes to the court at a frantic pace of work, with each bench of judges having to deal with 60 to 70 cases per day. Initially, the Supreme Court was clogged with a lot of constitutional cases which were not heard over the years. To reverse this trend, Justice Lalit announced that a constitution bench would hear 25 constitutional cases on his first day that he assumed office, and under his tenure at least one constitutional bench functioned every day. The landmark cases include the legality of the Citizenship Amendment Act, validity of demonetization, declaring of Muslims as a socially and educationally backward community in Andhra Pradesh, the right to dignified death, protection of Jallikattu, and so on and so forth. It is indeed our honor and privilege to have such a towering personality before us today to deliver his keynote address. I welcome Honorable Chief Justice Lalit, the former Chief Justice of India, to kindly deliver his keynote address.
Honorable Justice Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, Chief Justice of the High Court of Bombay, Honorable Justice M.S. Sonak, Senior Judge and Executive Chairperson of Goa State Legal Services Authority, Honorable Justice Bharat Deshpande, Honorable Justice Valmiki Menezes, Shri Guru Prasad Pavaskar, the Honorable Commissioner for Goa under this Disabilities Act, Shri Koilo Pereira, Learned Senior Advocate and President of Goa High Court Bar Association, two esteemed speakers who are guests here today, Mr. Rahul Bajaj and Amar Jain, all the other persons who are present today, including some of the senior counsel, learned advocates of this High Court, ladies and gentlemen. It has been a day full of all kinds of emotions and all kinds of great learning. I did 2 hours in the morning, and I must tell you that some of the things which I learned today I was not even aware of, or perhaps I feel my mind had never traveled in that direction. I could not have assumed so many facets of life. I did address the gathering in the morning, so I may sound repetitive. to some of the persons who were present in the gathering in the morning. But pardon me and pardon that repetition, but that's the only way that I can convey my feelings and I can convey my emotions on this beautiful topic. Mr. Rahul Bajaj mentioned something when he interned under me. I am mentioning that incident, why? Because that will give you the mindset of most of us. When he interned under me, as a person who is visually challenged, and every judge in the Supreme Court gets at least about 50 odd matters on Mondays and Fridays to work on. Naturally, as interns, law clerks, they are supposed to assist the judge. How would he or she assist the judge unless and until he or she is able to go through the papers? In those days, this is what pre-COVID days. So therefore, we had not, as a court, adapted ourselves completely so far as virtual platforms are concerned. We were still going by what is called a physical paper book era. So all the paper books used to come to our house and then the paper books had to be read and considered. So very first day he voiced his difficulty that how do I go through that. I immediately contacted my Chief Justice, who was then Justice Kehar, and told him the difficulty and the solution. That if you can scan the paper books of at least 8 or 10 matters on a day and provide us with what is called the electronic version through the scanned copies, which perhaps with the app that Rahul had, he'll be able to gather what are the papers, what are the contents of those matters, and then will be able to give the assistance effectively. And Justice, all our reaction was, is that so? So therefore, mere scanning of copy, will it be sufficient? And putting it in electronic form? Yes, of course, yes, it can be. And that's when it started in Supreme Court. So that was the first step, and I must acknowledge it, that the creation of that idea was nothing but because of Rahul Bajaj. So it is not as if that we were against that idea, or there was any apathy on part of the judges of the Supreme Court or the registry or the administration. It's just that we have never thought in that particular direction. I was told that this ramp before us has been installed only because of this function. I'm not blaming the High Court or anybody who is connected with the administration. This kind of contingency was never thought of. So the moment you come across these difficulties, that's when your antennas start sort of getting raised. That's when your thought process starts getting initiated in that direction, and that's when you start having some solution or the other. I recollect about 25 years back, I had gone to the United States, and I found for the first time that every public building in that country was disabled friendly, that it could be accessed by any wheelchair person. 25 years back, we never had that kind of facility. If you recollect, Honorable Prime Minister of this country had to be forklifted and put in the aircraft. Why? Because in those days, the aircrafts did not have the facility of aero bridges at every terminal. This is what we as society, perhaps, I think, if I may use the expression, we are guilty of that insensitivity or lack of sensitivity on our part. I must narrate one of the incidents which happened today. As a part of the exercise, one of the moderators put blindfold on our eyes. all the entire gathering, about say 25-30 of us. And we were completely blindfolded, and on the screen 2 video clips were run. The first video clip had no dialogues, or rather very less dialogues. There were some sounds that somebody is actually entering the water. There were other sounds, the sporadic conversations. The second clip had a better conversation, or rather a greater role for conversation. At the end of it, all these 2 clips, we were asked one question: have you been able to gather what was going on? And I must say that I was not able to gather anything. Now, this is a beautiful way to open our eyes to the reality that a visually challenged person, how he must be feeling in a cinema theatre. And that moderator then said that look at some of the films which are more of video content, like, and she gave one example which is Brahmastra, and said that how would you expect somebody who is visually challenged to understand, to assimilate what is going on in that theatre. And that's what is, as a society, what we must do. I must also say that one of the greatest achievements by Mr. Rahul Bajaj is the fact that at least 2 movies, Pathan and Jawan, both starring Shah Rukh Khan, he was able to get a separate feed which would be possible for some of the differently abled persons to gather the content of that particular film. This is what a beautiful expression in which we say, if we accept that yes, all Indians are equal and we are brothers or sisters, there is an element of fraternity, then how do we carry that element of fraternity to what level? I must also say that years back, about 20 years back, there was one activist called Javed Abidi or Javed Afridi, who was a wheelchair person, who used to fight battles for the better rights and recognition and acceptance of such differently abled persons. And one of his matter was listed in court number, perhaps I think court number 4 in Supreme Court. And in those days, there was no ramp which could enable a person who is on a wheelchair to enter the Supreme Court. There are stairs at some levels. He was physically lifted and brought to the court. And the first grievance which that gentleman made before the court was that why can't the apex court, the highest court of this country, have the facility where a person like me can come to the court with dignity? And that is something which at that juncture both the judges, they were just speechless. It was as if that, yes, there is a wrong, there is an infraction, there is a difficulty, there is something which we are guilty of. And that's how the eyes get opened. This legislation which has been brought about is a beautiful piece of legislation which must owe its existence to 2006 UN Convention. And the basic theme of that convention is that such differently abled persons also have a right to live with dignity. They are not dependent upon, they should not depend upon a mercy being shown by the fellow citizens. It is the right of those citizens. I'll also narrate one incident and then finish this. In my first tour to US, I had an occasion to go through the west coast part of that nation. And we were in a small town. Population of that town may not be more than 5,000. But we wanted to board a public bus. So me and my wife, we were in that bus. And the bus stopped at a particular point where a person in a wheelchair was waiting for the bus. And this I am saying about 25 years back. The driver stopped the bus. The bus had there was the part of the floor could actually flip off and take the shape as a ramp. It became a ramp, and that person came out and sort of, his wheelchair, then entered the bus. He entered the bus with that dignity. It was not as if that somebody had to lift him and put him in the bus. So therefore, this is what every person, differently abled person, aspires. As a fellow citizen, he or she is definitely entitled to that. To my mind, what is the beautiful part of this particular legislation? This is this equality of opportunity. When we say what is equality under Article 14, is it that formal sense of equality, that all persons are equal before the law? Or is it the substantive equality? That we try to do something affirmatively so that the barriers are bridged, so that the differences are demolished. And this is where one part is equality of opportunity. The other part which also came up in today's discussion was, there is this inclusive education which as a concept is spoken of by this legislation. How many schools do we really have for inclusive education? And then I must narrate one personal incident. My wife runs a Montessori school, which is for tiny tots. Naturally, it would be the normal children who were the first, the set of admissions. Then a lady came with a request. Her child was autistic, but she wanted the child to be educated in the regular format. My wife said, "But sorry, we don't have that kind of capacity. How do we teach that girl?" She said, "I am willing to bear all the expenditure for a special educator, but I want my child to be educated along with all the able-bodied or otherwise able persons. I don't want my child to be weaving baskets, all through his life. I want my child to be given the same status as any other member of the society." And my wife accepted that. Today, every class of her has at least two students who are differently able. And the idea is to have inclusive education. We saw one dance here. This is what we see every time in their annual functions, that such differently able children are also participating along with everybody else. And that will be the ideal society where we have inclusiveness to the extent possible, give them everything, not as a charity or as a mercy, as their right as a citizen, as their right as a human being. If that is something which is done, we as members of the society perhaps can say that we have succeeded in our mission. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your enriching and thought-provoking keynote address. Very briefly, if anybody has any questions to put across to any of our speakers, then please tell us. You can raise your hand. We'll have a mic sent out to you. I think there are a couple of hands put out there. Ram, can I request you to please, to the gentleman at the end of the room. We'll just take 3 or 4 questions and we'll conclude. Also, if you could please tell which of the speakers you would like to address the answer to your query.
गुड इवनिंग एवरीवन, मेरा नाम दानिश महाजन है और मैं डिसेबिलिटी ऑनलाइन डिसेबिलिटी कम्युनिटी रेडियो से हूँ और मैं विजुअल हूँ। मेरा क्वेश्चन रिस्पेक्टेड ललित सर से और देवेंद्र सर से है। वो वन लाइनर क्वेश्चन है मेरे। विद द ग्रेटेस्ट ऑफ रिस्पेक्ट, पार्डन मी फॉर माय दिस क्वेश्चन। हम बार बार इंक्लूजन की बात कर रहे हैं और यू हैव पुट थिंग्स ब्यूटीफुली इन योर स्पीच एंड लेकिन सर जब हम टर्मिनोलॉजी की बात करते हैं, टर्मिनोलॉजी प्लेज अ सिग्निफिकेंट रोल विद इन द डिसेबिलिटी कम्युनिटी। जब हम बात कर रहे हैं डिफरेंटली एबल्ड, आपको नहीं लगता कि डिफरेंटली एबल्ड फिर हम वही गलती दोहरा रहे हैं जिसके बारे में इस पूरे कॉन्क्लेव में चर्चा हुई है? हम डिफरेंट नहीं हैं। दिस इज वन थिंग दैट वी आर शाउटिंग कि हम यूनाइटेड नेशन ने पर्सन्स विद डिसेबिलिटीज को ही लीगल माना है और डिसेबिलिटी कम्युनिटी भी उसको एक्सेप्ट करती है। व्हाई अगेन वी नीड टू बी कॉल्ड डिफरेंटली एबल्ड? वी आर नॉट डिफरेंटली एबल्ड, वी आर डिसेबल्ड हु वर्क डिफरेंटली। वन थिंग। सेकंड थिंग, एक रिसर्च अभी हुई थी, जावेद साहब की बात हुई है तो एक एनसीपीसीटी ने रिसर्च की थी, उसमें बड़ी यूनिक चीज़ आई जो पहली बार मुझे भी समझ आई कि अगर कोई एफआईआर लिखवाने जाता है डिसेबल्ड, तो एफआईआर में अगर कोई डिसेबल्ड एक्यूज है तो वो तो कॉलम है, लेकिन अगर कोई डिसेबल्ड विक्टिम है तो वो कॉलम नहीं है। तो अगर डिसेबल्ड विक्टिम का उस एफआईआर फॉर्मेट में कॉलम ही नहीं है तो ना तो हमें उससे डेटा मिलता है, ना ही वो डेटा हमारे तक पहुंचता है जिसके बेस पे पॉलिसीज बनती है। तो आपका इन दोनों पर क्या कहना है?
I heard the question.
Hello.
I heard the question. You are right. What is there in a name? A rose would smell as sweet, whatever you may call it. Correct? So therefore the qualities don't change. What we do is, it's not as if we are trying to label somebody and then segregate it from the rest of the society. It's only for the purposes of identification, just as what the querist put it this way, that why can't in the FIR there be a column for a differently abled person who is a victim? Correct? Similarly, it is only a nomenclature which has been used just to identify persons belonging to that particular category. It is not to put them in a differential way to segregate from rest of us. So therefore, that's what my answer could be to your question. Inclusiveness is something where we consider them to be as part of the society as we are. And that is the idea of inclusiveness. So therefore, the moment you bury these kind of discriminations or attitudes of differentiation, that's where we will be able to have what is called a distinction-less kind of framework in the society. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Any question which is different from what is posed, we are glad to accept. Just one more question.
Sir, I had a question that it's actually to the whole fraternity of the lawyers here and the judges and honorable justice as well. We already have provisions as per RTW Act to make places accessible like this ramp, but we don't have them. Every time we face these issues, so I request that is it possible for the Bar Council of India to take this up and actually enforce this law? Because the law has been made but it's not enforced anywhere. If you just walk out even in the government buildings, they are not accessible. So can there be a solution from your side which we can get on this day?
I think in the state of Goa, this issue has been redressed, and the government has already ensured and passed laws also that all state-run buildings should be enabled and friendly to all such brethren. And I think it's across almost all institutions, whether it's educational, public premises, that this law is actually enforced in the state of Goa. That's as far as I have noticed. Anybody else has a different view can of course share. Anyone. Just one last question. I'm sorry, sir. Just one last question.
Sir, it's to you, Lalit sir. I like what you said about America, about inclusive society and all. I faced a lot of barriers while growing up, and it is still going on. The barriers are still there in schooling, in marriages. It's still there in my office as well. So we are not inclusive as yet. Plus, I am an oral deaf who can speak a little. I can speak well, but what you speak, I cannot understand. I am deaf. So at later stage, I started using sign language. So because when you speak to me, I don't understand. And when we start writing, so I didn't want people to speak to me, and it is too much of pressure on me also as well to understand what is being said. So there are a lot of inclusiveness issues, barriers that are still there in the society in India. So what alternative can you give us?
Madam, first of all, I must on behalf of the entire society say sorry to you that perhaps I think there is no means of communication where perhaps you can be understood and I can make myself understood by you. I'll only tell one of the incidents which happened today. The moderator told us that we learn so many languages. We learn languages like Marathi, Hindi, Gujarati. We try to pick up certain words, correct? If a person Maharashtrian stays in Tamil Nadu, he'll try to pick up some Tamil words. But it never occurs to us that we must pick up sign language. Correct? Those who are near here, maybe perhaps in your family, they may adapt. They may sort of absorb that as a language, as a means of communication. But those who have no connection, those who have no such any relation, very rarely you will find somebody using that as a language, correct? Perhaps I think that the culture has to develop. Culture has to develop that, yes, I must also adopt something, I must also utilize something by which I'll be able to convey something to a person like you. I must tell you that the way you were making those signs today, I could understand part of it. Of course, with the oral kind of suggestions which were given by her. Yes. But that's the difficulty, ma'am. I quite see that. What Mr. Rahul Bajaj said is that the intent of the legislation is always there, but there are always certain gaps between the principles and the practice. And the practice is where we as entire community are lagging behind. You must not feel that kind of difficulty if you go to a mall or to a shop, how to convey yourself. That should not be a difficulty. That should be a means, a medium of communication, effective communication. And if we start doing that as a society, perhaps I think that's where the barriers will vanish. All I can say is that. But I must plead guilty on behalf of the entire society.
All right, sir. So I would like to continue the question to ex-CGI Lalit sir. Sir, you have been a beacon of hope when CGIs have been, they have been bringing my hope down. You have been a beacon of hope. Thank you for that. And this is my question to you. It's a personal question. This question is like, I have been trying out activism for my own very self for the past one and a half year, but to no result. All of you have been saying that the RPWD Act is something good for the country, that it is great, it has great provisions and all. But here's my question, here's what I faced, or rather even my comrades from the LGBTQIA plus community faces right now. It's about insurance, sir. I have an invisible disability, invisible disorder by the name multiple sclerosis. It's a neurological condition, and I have written to many, every insurance firm. I have written to them saying that I have this condition, so I am willing to wait for a period of 5 years, during which you may not provide me any insurance, but would you be willing to provide me insurance later on? To which every one of them have denied providing me any insurance, even though I have a RTI with me in which it is said that multiple sclerosis can actually be provided insurance by the insurance companies, and yet they denied. And over here it is not a right to life with dignity that is being denied, it is a right to independent life itself that is being denied, and my independence is put under a question, and I have no one to ask that question to. So could you kindly answer why the government and the judiciary actually respects an institution, or rather a company, over the life of an individual, whereas countries like England have been doing the opposite for quite some time now? Thank you, sir.
See, yours is a genuine problem. I understand that. I can't say that the insurance companies are right. They are obviously wrong. But insurance is a matter of contract between two parties. But on a normative level, such an approach which has been adopted by the insurance companies is definitely not acceptable. Correct? Under the legislation, there is an element which is called access to justice, which has been assured so far as all these persons who are differently able are concerned. There is also a certain role which has been given or ascribed to NALSA or the legal services authorities. So perhaps, you have received negative answers from some of the insurance companies. You should take up this matter. All I can say is that take up this matter through the auspices of NALSA, and perhaps I think a solution can be found. Merely saying that insurance companies are in the wrong is not going to give you a solution or succor. The solace or succor will be there only when there is an effective kind of response coming from the insurance company. Most of these insurance companies are in public sector, like for instance GIC, NIC and so on and so forth. So they are all amenable to the writ jurisdiction of the High Court. Correct? So therefore, perhaps all that I can say is, I have no words to express myself that why you are actually getting cornered like this, and why should you be encountering difficulties like this. But perhaps the solution would be in the form that I think you can take the services of NALSA and then approach a court of law. And all I can say is that I have sincere hope, every hope, that perhaps I think your case is bound to succeed in case it enters the annals of court of law.
Thank you so much. We are running out of time, and I'm sorry we won't have time to take more questions. There are some further commitments now. Well, friends, all good things have to come to an end, and as also this event and I have been given the task of now rendering the vote of thanks. At the outset, I would express our gratitude to Honorable Sri Justice Lalit, former Chief Justice of India, for taking time out and coming here and addressing this gathering, as also volunteering to answer all the questions. Gratitude to our Chief Justice, Honorable Sri Devendra Kumar Upadhyay, for gracing the occasion, being one of the speakers for today. Also express our gratitude to the Honorable High Court of Bombay under the aegis of Justice Sonak, the other judges of the Honorable High Court, in providing all the assistance and facility in organizing this event. I also extend my gratitude to the Goa High Court Bar Association under the leadership of Sri Coelho Pereira and all the members of the association in helping in organizing this event. No words can describe the effort of the State Commission for Persons with Disabilities under the leadership of Guru Pavaskar for organizing this entire festival in the state of Goa. Thank you, Guru, for having this event in Goa and for making this a great event in the state of Goa. A big thank you to the Goa State Legal Service Authority and its member secretary, Ms. Vijaya Amre, for taking all the trouble in organizing this event in association with the Goa High Court Bar Association and Vision Accessibility before this gathering today. Also, I extend my gratitude to all the senior advocates, the advocates from the different sections of Goa, all the students from the law colleges, honorable district judges, judges of the civil and criminal court, the registrars of the High Court, the district court, who are present here today. I would also like to express my gratitude to all the invitees who are present here today. A special word of gratitude to the students of Astha Anand Niketan who performed the welcome dance for us. My gratitude goes out to the media, the electronic and print media. Gratitude to all those who have attended today's evening. Pardon me if I missed out anybody in this August gathering in expressing my gratitude to you. A big word of thank you to the Goa High Court Bar Association in entrusting this responsibility of conducting this event today evening. Thank you, sir. I would also express my gratitude to the two speakers for today evening, Sri Rahul Bajaj and Sri Amar Jain, for giving us wonderful insights and thought-provoking issues raised across today's evening. And last but not the least, I will say thank you and express all of us to put a round of applause to all the interpreters who are present here today, who helped us in communicating your sentiments to us and our sentiments to you. That's all I can say. Please rise for the national anthem.
Jai He,